Now, please welcome to the stage Lillian Sparks Robinson and S.R. Tommie.
Diva is a female version of a hustler, of a hustler, of a hustler. Na diva is a female version of a hustler, of a hustler, of a hustler. Diva is a female version of a hustler. This is it.
Wow. If you could see what I see, you'd see a sea full of happy, satisfied, and hopefully no longer hungry faces joining us today. And it is my pleasure, Lillian Sparks Robinson, member of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe and also Oglala, to be interviewing you today, Miss S.R. Tommie. And is it okay if I call you Tommie?
Please call me Tommie.
Excellent. Thank you. So not only is it my pleasure to sit up here and interview you. Every time I'm on this stage, I get to sit down, I get to tap into like an inner fantasy of mine of being like the next Oprah Winfrey. So please indulge me as I, try to turn on my interviewer persona and really get to know more about the work you're doing, as how it's impacting women, how you're influencing women, how you're impacting Indian country and your community, and how you got here. So let's start with something simple. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and the work you're doing, and then also share with us, what does it mean to you to be a leader?
Well, you packed a punch in that question. I don't know which one to start with first, but I'll tackle them all. I want to, if it's okay, I'd like to acknowledge everyone that is here and to thank you for taking the time to come out and be a part of Res 2023. There's so many amazing faces in the audience that I just feel the energy, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity, Lillian, to be interviewed by our native Oprah.
Thank you. I'm going to trademark that, by the way, so.
You do that. So I am S.R. Tommie. I'm a member of the Seminole Tribe of Florida, and we are, as many of you are, matriarchal society, and I'm a member of the Bird Clan. And my tribe, we have 8 clans, and I each have so many unique characteristics and the nuances that we interact with each other and support each other in our tribal community is so very important to us, and it's something that we must continue to do throughout everything, our business lives, our personal lives. It all circles back to family and our upbringing and about us as women, supporting each other and working together at that effort, not just talking about it, but being about it.
I really appreciate that, what you said about us circling back together and supporting each other. And as you know, the theme of this year's conference is empowering generations. And so, when I think about that, and I'll share a little struggle I've been having over the last, I'll say 18 months, is I've been asking myself, am I in auntie status? And so have I graduated to that next level where strangers can say, oh, auntie, good to see you. And, I used to be the one running around in, the highest of heels and the brightest of makeup. And, while some things haven't changed, some things have. And, but I've embraced this auntie status. Oh, you're still wearing the high heels, girl. I don't know. You may not be auntie status yet. And, but part of that responsibility as an auntie, right, is to empower those around us and those that are coming up. And so how do you embrace, understanding what our next phase of life is, but more so, how do you empower those around you?
When I was asked to be on this panel, I just embraced the thought of empowering generations. One of the things I think that we do, and I just got to back it up for a second. I am auntie status. I'm not just auntie status. I'm Poshi status too. In my language, that means grandmother. I have 17 grandchildren.
Wow.
And I am blessed. I am blessed.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and I still rock the heels. Not when I have the grandchildren, though. I might trip. Nevertheless, I think about empowering for generations. That's a bold statement. When we talk about empowering for generations, we say it, and we say it with authority. We say it with meaning. But what does that mean? I believe that we are embraced or immersed in a world where we talk about ideologies and what sounds good, what looks good, but we don't take the time to teach. How do we get there? What does that mean? What steps do I need to take to empower generations? For me and myself, I think, totally that it means that we have to work together. We have to collaborate. We have to support each other. These things are necessary in order for us to grow. We've often been told that no one man, no one woman is an island. And in business, we are not. We need other people. And if we truly mean what we say about empowering generations, we're looking at our kids. We're looking at our grandchildren, our children, our neighbors' children, everybody in the community moving together. And if we can find a way to get to that, then we can empower generations. It's not just about us individually. It's about us connecting with each other, collaborating with each other. I put it out there right now, and where I've arrived in life is I have a marketing advertising agency. I started it with 3 employees nearly 20 years ago, and today I have 50 employees full time. Started out in a 900 square foot building, and today I'm in a 21,000 square foot building. And when I think about that, I think about how can I help? I can talk about it. I could write songs about it, but am I doing it? So today I say there are many positions that I have a need to fill. That one is videographers. Anybody in the audience looking for a job as a videographer, photographers? I want you. I want you. And this is how we do this, right? And in a day and time where we're remote working, remote learning, there's no division. There are no barriers. So we can do this. I'm looking for copywriters and proofers, all of these things. That's just me. But if we look into this room, so many other entrepreneurs that are here, that are doing things, that are doing big things, if we make that call out and we say, we're looking for you, we need your services. We walk around like we got it all together and we don't need anybody. That's the farthest thing from the truth. We have to open up, and we've got to open the doors, the windows, and make those cracks bigger, whatever it takes to get everyone in so that we all survive and eat together. That's what it's all about, in my opinion.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. When you talk about, so we can all eat together, that's one of the things I always say is that while we might be competitors, there's so much work out there that everyone can eat, right? And we don't have to have the entire feast at your table. There's enough for all of us to do well and to spread the wealth and to spread the love. So I appreciate the work you're doing there. I think you did something really important, and it's great for us to model that about talking about what you need, right? Because we all, at some point, I think, suffer from imposter syndrome. I know I have. And I realized that it's not, I'm not an imposter. It's that I'm continuously learning. And because of the way I was raised with my traditional values and the respect shown to others, is that, I never think that I've made it. But it's hard walking in both a business world, as well as, applying what you've done. Or it used to be hard. Now I think we've come to a place where we can say, no, traditionally or culturally, this is how I like to conduct business. This is how I communicate. And this is the plan and avenue and path that I plan to take. Can you talk a little bit about how you've made sure you've stayed true to who you are as a Seminole woman while still being super successful in this industry?
For sure. I think about my elders and the struggles, the challenges that they were faced with during a time where we didn't have what we have today. And they survived. They didn't just survive, they thrived. It's big living. It was just life, living on our homelands and eating the foods that we ate that were healthier, if you will, in comparison to today. But when I think about them, that's my driver. When I think about their blood that's in my body, that's pumping through my heart, that's flowing through my veins, failure is not an option for me, no matter what. They survived so that we could survive. And in my offices, the east walls are painted red. The name of my company is Redline Media Group. We are on social media, so when we talk about collaboration, I'd love it if you will all come and follow and be a part of this amazing life that's taking place from my perspective as a Native woman-owned business, providing services in 74 countries around the world. And people are listening. We talk, they ask questions, we answer. But that's because we are true to who we are. When you walk into my office in the building, every east wall is painted red. And red is the way in which we face, east is the direction that we face when we are having traditional times. And while we face the east walls, it is a constant reminder that that's the direction that the sun rises and there is a new day. And that when I see that, I'm always reminded, and I remember who I am. And they're signs, they're affirmations, they're everywhere. But if we're intentional about putting them in a place that we're going to see it, we just refuse to forget. And I think that that's the driver. We must refuse to forget.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Certainly, yeah, deserves a round of applause for sure. A great example of how you have introduced your cultural practices and teachings and how you've allowed that to really drive your model. I've done the same with my own company, and we've adapted the 4 Lakota values of wisdom, bravery, generosity, and fortitude. And the work that we do has to be centered in those values. And our structure is not our typical, those charts that go like this and people branch off, but it's more so circular, medicine wheel, right? Because the work we do all connects to each other and it all impacts each other. So there are definitely models out there that we can all use from our own cultural teachings and upbringing. So thank you for that. I think you brought up a collaboration. And so, for me, it's important to nourish and nurture our networks. And I think about, the 3 types of networks that work for me. I have my brain trust, and those folks are my advisors, the people I can brainstorm on, folks who have been my mentors officially or unofficially, and whose advice is super sage to me, and I can really trust it. And then I have my beehive. And so these are a lot of them are my peers. These are people that can organize, they can execute, they know how to get the work done, whether it's administratively, organizationally, and it's reciprocal because when I can do the same for them, I do. And then I have, my besties. And so these are people that, I grew up with, or my cousins and relatives. And, half of them don't even know the work that I do. They don't know, they don't care. They're just down to ride for me no matter what. Girl, who we got to beat up? Why are you upset? And you need those types of folks, in your crew as well. And so can you talk about how women in your life have shaped and influenced the work that you're doing now?
Oh my, the first woman when I listen to you speak that comes to my mind is my mother, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother. The women in our communities are always there. They are the ride or dies. They never go. Somebody's auntie is always there, which is your auntie. And so when I think about my mother telling me and my grandmother telling me as we lived on our traditional camp setting that I could do anything that I wanted to do, and that they empowered me to believe that way. Although when I spent one summer with my grandmother, and as we were there, she said, "Shlufkaji, Elisha." And I looked up at her and I said, "Huh, Grandma, what'd you say?" And if you ever saw these cartoons where somebody hits the ground and they see stars and black and white flashing, that was her backhanding me, telling me to speak in my own language. That wasn't my language. So speak your language. So the rest of that summer, I walked around tugging on her skirt because I didn't want to get hit again. But I thought about all of that and that she empowered me to believe in who I am. She insisted that I speak my language, I learn my traditions, and that's who we are at the end of the day. Things can be taken away from you, but who you are can never be taken away. And those are the things that continue. Thank you. Mado, thank you for that. So when I think of about my grandmothers, my great grandmother and my mother. Those women instill that in me. And I find that in my tribal sisters, we're all like that with each other. We're like every other dysfunctional family out there, right? Sometimes we get along and sometimes we don't. But I do know that they will tell me when I need to be told. And likewise, and that's when you're keeping it real, right? And they believe in that, and I believe in that. So I will have to say, even meeting you today, for the very first time, I've been inspired by you. You're not Seminole, you're Lakota, but together as Native women, if we find it within ourselves to support each other, we don't have to be from the same tribe. We are a tribe. Doesn't matter from where you're from. As long as we believe in each other and support each other, that's what it's going to take.
Thank you for that. I am blessed to be able to add you to my sister circle. And certainly, I think we've been in the same rooms before and same conferences, but you are witnessing the first conversation that we've really been able to have and learn from each other. And that's what this is about. It's about coming and learning and sharing your story, right? About sharing what it is that brought you to this place. And we all know that, it takes hard work. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of fortitude, but it also takes, I think, a certain amount of passion and gumption and belief in the dream and what it is that you want to accomplish. And your experiences, not just your experiences, your family experiences. You just told me about your grandma and making sure that you knew your language and how to speak it. And she did that because of what she had to endure to be able to speak her language. And so how do we take those experiences, not just personal, but from our moms, our grandmas, our aunties, our dads, our grandpas, our uncles, and make sure that we're honoring what they've gone through. And I think we're doing that being in this room here today and talking with each other, learning from each other, keeping that connection and keeping that network growing, and then applying it to the work that you're doing and calling upon, hey, Tommie, I do need a videographer for this. I do need someone to run production for me on this particular event. Lillian, help me understand this policy piece. How do I, navigate the government contracting world? These are the relationships that we're building this week. And I would like to know, what is it that you hope that folks take away from their time here at RES?
Intentional living, being intentional about your decisions. When you're in a room such as this one, how can you find that opportunity that's going to help you with your goals and aspirations? There's somebody here. There has to be. And finding out who they are, being intentional about it. Yes, we bump into each other, but when you have a business, you create a business plan and you work your plan. And while you're working your plan, you'll find out by working that plan where you deviated, why you were delayed, or how you got to where you're trying to get to so quickly. That plan is what's going to drive you. RES requires coming with a plan. Yeah, there are a lot of fun times. I see it. I hear it. Everybody's, I think, Sterling said it last year, Sterling Harjo, that there's some snagging that goes on during these conferences. But while all of that's happening, I think that's important. Did I just tell on somebody? Hey. But while that's happening, I think that you came here with a purpose and a reason. And when you're doing that, you have to be intentional. And I want everyone here to be intentional about where you're going. Have that roadmap so that you can get there. And if you find yourself on a side road, you can look back at that map and get back on track. And we all get off track. But by the same token, if we don't have that intentional spirit, we will find ourselves taking a long time to get to where we need to be. And I'm intentional about mentioning my need for photographers and videographers and writers. I mean that. Redline Media Group, we're on social. That's how everybody likes to connect these days. So please follow us, connect with us, and let's do some big things together.
Great, thank you. And so I don't know how many folks had to fly here like I did, but, coming here, I always rack up all the magazines. And this week's Newsweek magazine, The cover article is about the changing face of entrepreneurship. And when I read the article on the plane, it said more and more women, as particularly women of color, are becoming the business leaders. And I think we have all been able to see what a strong business leader looks like. And she's been here for 20 years, right? It didn't happen over the pandemic. It's been a long time coming. And so we applaud you, Tommie. We appreciate the work that you do. And we're excited to see how much further you go.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you all for joining us here today. Any last words?
Have fun. Live life to the fullest, and enjoy the journey. It's a beautiful one if you make it that. Mado Shanabashet.
Great. Wopula, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy Res.